So every set I do this, and I go through all the cards that are new. So we got all of the Marvel superhero cards, all the various different versions. We obviously only care about cards that are not reprints because we were caring with the new cards. And I take a look and see what cards are good and what cards are not good for Catfight. And this time I got a guest with me, and this is awesome because we got TheVintageCubeChef here, and he is super into the format. If you haven't seen his videos that he's been doing about it, it has been amazing and wonderful. And I figured it might be a good way to do this where we have a little bit of back and forth. We get a second opinion because my opinion is not always the right opinion, and it's interesting to get other people's takes on these cards. So everyone welcome TheVintageCubeChef. Here he is.
Yeah, excited to be here. Normally my shtick is limited, but once I started playing this format, it's easily been added to my repertoire of formats that I follow, building my first decks, super excited to be in my first tournament for it, all the things.
Awesome. So, all right, let's dive in here. So we got this pre-set up. So we got non-creatures, mana value 1, Marvel Superheroes Commander, and Marvel Superheroes Jumpstart front cards. I think that covers all the Jumpstart cards. Oh, we have got, it's 12 or 17 cards. We got 17 cards here. So some of these are going to be good. Some of these are going to be not so good. Let's take a look at the first one. As Guardian Inspiration, exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you may pay 2. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. This feels like a whiff.
I feel like it's a pretty big dud. Not being able to do non-combat damage just makes this a exile the top card you can play at this turn, and there's better effects for that. Even recently, like Spider-Man has a version that's just exile the top 2. You can play one of them this turn for 1. And so I think it gets outclassed by some of the things already available.
Totally. So, all right, on to the next one. All right, Captain's Defense. Yeah, target blocking creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Draw a card, though.
It's very weird. It's a weird card to assess. For me, I feel like getting the stats on a blocking creature just isn't exciting enough, but I do think it's interesting that it kind of gets around hexproof because you're targeting your own creature when you're blocking. So instead of trying to target the attacking creature and then they go, I'll just give it hexproof, you go, I'm going to target my blocking creature so that it wins this combat, and then them giving their creature hexproof doesn't stop it. Obviously, indestructible would bounce, but I think there's a world for it in like multi-game, like best of 3, best of 5, etc., where you know your opponent's super combat focused and you know they're going to bring in a whole bunch of self-protection, that you could maybe bring this in almost cheekily as a haha, you cannot actually interact with this as well. I still think it's a tough card to include in such a small sideboard, 9-card sideboard.
Yeah.
There's so many juicy sideboard cards I want to bring in. I just don't know what decks are going to be willing to use this as a slot for it, but maybe there's a world.
Yeah, no, I have the exact same feeling with this, where it's like, it's the draw card that kind of pushes this. I also wish it was target blocking or blocked creature. Then it would be like a slightly better combat trick, but, you know, we don't get to design the cards. But as you're saying with sideboard, in white especially, you have so many better, just like if you're against something aggro, that you can just completely stunt their attack. So yeah, pretty iffy. Like I think you'd have to be digging pretty deep to be wanting to play this one. So all right, let's go to the next one. Okay, well, we have the funniest named card in the format. I don't know if it's any good though.
So for those that don't know, Teamwork is an additional cost you have to pay on cards where in order to get both modes, you have to tap creatures with up to that much or more power. And it ignores Summoning Sickness, just like crewing a vehicle. But Crew 3 is a pretty big, or Teamwork 3 is a pretty big ask in this format. You basically have to either already have a creature token in play, and your reward just feels pretty light, putting a counter on a creature and then having it fight. We already have better options that are like this modal card, in my opinion. Bushwhack comes to mind, as does Thirsting Roots, allowing you to either proliferate or go get a basic land. Both of those are legal in the format. Both of those I feel like take this spot much better for decks that want it. But maybe if you're really getting a lot out of that 1/1 counter and you're going for like a build up the cat kind of in a more traditional like green blue 1/1 counters way there's a world, I just struggle to see this getting more play than some of the better versions of this type of card in the format.
Yeah, totally. And this sorcery speed, like in my mind, this is competing with Tail Swipe, and I love Tail Swipe. And Tail Swipe is a sorcery you get both. So in this sense, you're kind of like, the sorcery speed. I think that one really kind of like push this one under. And yeah, to be able to get the teamwork at that point, why would you just not be attacking with your other 3/3 creature?
Right.
So,
you got yourself a 3 power creature and you're not swinging with it.
yeah, what are you doing at this point? Like, and you're in green. Like, yeah, what are you doing? So, all right, another not so good. All right.
Oh, this one is so exciting. If it didn't say damage, I personally think this card's gonna be so good and limited. I'm so excited to play with it, but I just can't imagine it sees any play given that it does an actual damage. If it said loss of life, if it said loses a life, this card would be potentially really cheeky.
Yeah, no, it would probably have to be black if that was the case. The other switch that you can make to this card that would make it really good is if it deals 1 damage to any targets. Now all of a sudden, every time your cat attacks, it's biting. Boy, that would be good. That would be really.
If they print that on a 1 equipped creature, we're playing a whole nother game. It's gonna, or 1 equipment. It's gonna get pretty crazy. That's such a powerful effect, especially for limited. And just like in Catfight, being able to kill the cat on a tap would be very strong.
Yeah, no, yeah, totally. But it can ruin Pauper, but it doesn't. No impact on Catfight.
No, indeed.
All right, so we have another teamwork card here. This one, the teamwork cost isn't what really, in my opinion, holds it back. I think being able to teamwork's kind of nice. Yes, teamwork 2 is a little harder to achieve, but there's a lot of 3/3 tokens, or rather X3 tokens, that get made in the format, and being able to pump this up and kill it seems decent. But there's some better options for that, like attacking, blocking creature slot. I can think of like 8 off the top of my head, but the one that comes to mind for some reason is Elspeth's Smite, which is 1 mana, deal 3 damage to an attacking or blocking creature just unconditionally. So I think even though this kills the cat, there are once again just similar cards that play better if you were going to play this. Also, this is maybe something you can speak to. I don't feel like this type of effect does particularly well in the format generally. I think you want more assertive ways to deal with the cat than having it have to be already attacking or blocking for you to be able to interact with it. Yeah,
because the other thing to like think about is that like, as long as you're making the block, you're kind of preventing the damage. So it's only like helpful if they go to pump. So it's almost like a counter spell where like they try to pump and you respond with this. But you're getting into like really in the weeds there of like the hesitation of you not having rung this off, and it's like if you're holding it back, it seems pretty wonky in that sense. So it's kind of like just making the block should be successful unless you are getting like trampled over. And at that point, just having like a fog is probably better, or like a straight removal spell, than trying to get like cheeky with dealing like 2 damage. Because if they then have something on top of that, then you know what I mean.
100%.
It's not guaranteed enough. It's too wobbly. And as you said, like the 3 damage to hit the like the apes and the lizards is way more beneficial.
A lot of X3s.
A lot of X3s. No, the ability to deal 3 damage is huge. That's why like Red really wants to run either Lightning Bolt or Galvanic Discharge, because those are the 2 that can deal 3. Like everything that deals 2, it's like, man, that feels bad when you have that and you're staring down a lizard and you're just like, well, I can't quite get there, and then you just get run over.
Just play a bunch of equipment with a Galvanic Blast.
There you go.
Then you can do 4.
That's true. Then you can hit almost everything. Other than the zombie giant, he's still running around. Can't deal with that guy.
The 5/5.
Yeah.
That thing's huge.
Like generic token that's like really hard to deal with. All right, what do you think on this one?
This, I feel like amongst all the equipment in the set that we're getting, has the most potential. Giving another attacking creature indestructible is no joke. I just really worry with the equip 3. It's a big ask in order to get that on something. And then the actual stats it gives to the creature that it's equipped to is almost less important than giving a second thing indestructible. So it's almost like you want to have your cat not be the thing this is equipped to, and then be able to give your cat that's bumped up with other things indestructible. Feels like you're going through a lot of hoops when you could just be equipping like a Luxior or something that paying that 3 mana really, pushes the tide of the game. And it not having an enter effect or some other effect while it's just on the board like a Shadow Spear, how many equipment can you really run in a deck? And you're fighting against some of the best equipment ever printed. So, I struggle to believe that this will beat it out, but maybe there's a world where that indestructible can be used to great effect.
Yeah, no, that's totally my take also. And no evasion. If it gave like evasion, like I feel like that. Honestly, if it gave protection instead of indestructible, I would like this a lot more, because then you could like try to like push through. But
really surprised that it doesn't give like a shield counter or something like that. It just feels very flavorful to the card. Like when a creature becomes equipped with this equipment, it gains a shield counter on top of that, which is if it would die, it just doesn't want, or if it would die or take damage, you ignore the damage or it doesn't die, but only one time, and then you remove the counter. It just felt like that was the kind of effect I thought would be on this card, and then it ended up being this, and I was like, this is interesting.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. Like, I don't know if are there any shield counters on anything in the set? Okay, I'm like,
there are a couple in the base limited set even.
Okay,
just actually, I think there's exactly one, which is just the Captain America rare that says they enter with a shield counter, and as long as they have a shield counter, you and all your other creatures have hexproof.
Okay. I mean, that's super flavorful. I like that a lot,
Right, so
actually.
once he loses his shield, then everything else can be hit, but until then.
Right.
So, what a funky card.
What a funky card.
Love it, first of all, and I want it to be good. I don't know off the dome how to use this card effectively enough, but making a 3/3 flyer until end of turn is very real. It's kind of like just good enough where I'm looking at this of like, maybe there's a world where you get enough like mana out and you can consistently be turning this into a dude. The fact that it enters and does something relevant seems nice, but to me, this is competing with like Candy Trail if we're looking for that kind of effect. And Candy Trail, its activate ability costs 1 less, replaces itself, kind of just does a little bit too much for me to say that I'd play it over it. But I absolutely think this is a playable card. I think there are decks that would be able to use this well. I just can't, in my head, figure out what deck I would put this in over some of the cards I'm quite fond of. But I also haven't played as much of the format, so maybe there are some decks you can think of that this slots nicely into.
I'm kind of in the same place. Like it's like right there on the edge. It's like I want it to be good. I wish it permanently became the 3/3. Then it would be competing with like Soulstone Sanctuary, which is a really good land. The fact that you have to keep putting the mana into it, it's like, but it is flying. Like it is evasion. Like I don't know. It's right there, but the 1 mana artifact slot is so heavily contested. Like there's so many good options that I'm just not sure that you go with this one. And it's also competing in my mind with every man land. But I mean, like
a little bit, yeah.
Right? Like how is this any different than like Treetop Village or like Cave of the Frost Dragon? Like it's kind of the same thing, other than this doesn't give you mana, and this could be countered or destroyed more easily. But I don't know, Wasteland and Strip Mine are everywhere, so lands are also not impervious. So I don't know. I could see it, but I'm just not sure what deck you immediately slot this into.
Yeah, it's one of those cards that you like keep on the radar, and if it gets some funky pieces of support in the coming sets, it could actually be magic. I just don't think in the current slate of cards, I see an easy place for it to fit.
Yeah, no, there's too much competition for that slot. And the Scry 2 is nice, but man, I'd rather play like like guac pizza, you know what I mean? An artifact like comes in and like does it, because then you can relics roar it. So you can like guac pizza, untap your cat, give it +2/+2, and the next turn relics roar. Having this come in and scrying relics roar, it's just not the same vibe. Like you're not getting across the finish line quite the same way in my mind. So middling. Better than a lot of the other cards we've seen, but
I think it's the best card we've seen. I think this has the most potential so far.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And we said that, and then this for me is the card that has the most potential now. Panther's Pounce seems weird but real. +1/+0, and it gains flying until end of turn. I love the evasion. I love untapping it, making the cat be a surprise 2-power blocker. When we're talking about flyers, you don't need nearly as much power in order to contest things in the air. So 1/1s and a couple 2/2s is what I see for the most part in the air in the format. So this does pretty effectively bounce all those. If you care about the investigate, either because it's an artifact or you just have good ways to use the mana to make the card happen, it seems like there is a home for it. My immediate thought is like in a white green or a blue or a white blue or a white green deck that either makes a lot of mana off of, and there's a bunch of different ways, but off of their sources, or cares about the artifact.
Yeah, no, this was actually the card I was most interested to see your take on, because this I think is an interesting challenge, like, to the format. Like, you've been playing more games, so you're kind of like understanding the little minutia and the little like tempo swings. And this card's a really good example. It's easy to shrug this one off as just like, it's whatever, but it does all the right things. I actually see it as more of an aggressive card, because it breaks the standstill. So in my mind, what you can do is you can give your cat the +1/+0 and flying. So you got like a guaranteed 2 damage coming in, because there aren't a lot of flying things. Like almost everything's on the ground unless you're intentionally giving your cat reach. And then an untap is almost like it does vigilance. So it's like you can go in for 2, and then you can hold back and play defense. That'll become relevant when we talk about another card. And then that investigate token, like in my mind, that is just a prime target for a Relic's Roar. So turn 1, this, swing for 2. Turn 2, like let's say they try to attack back or do something, you can go for 1 and then Relic's Roar for another 4. Like, man, that's 7 damage right there. That it's, I don't know, I kind of like it. I don't love it. In my mind, this is competing with Jump Scare and Enter the Avatar State. And Enter the Avatar State is amazing, and it's hard to just like,
Hexproof and First Strike is a pair of keywords that are pretty hard to beat. I almost want to like call this like potentially the Thraben Inspector of the format. If you view it as almost like a utility 1-drop where you're putting something in play early, but later it replaces itself, so it's still not really a bad draw off the top. It's still impacting the board, pushing through a little bit of extra damage, or interacting, and then it replaces itself immediately. I think it could slot really nicely into like almost like a mono white aggressive deck. I think there's a very real world for this card.
Yeah, no, like I think so too. It may not be like its time quite yet, but I think there could be a moment where its time comes. Because it gives you rectangles also. Like it gives you a relevant token that you can do stuff with, whether that's drawing a card or Kuldotha Rebirth, like turning it into goblins or turning it into like a 4/3. Like there's things to do with that token that are not nothing. And I think this one's interesting. I like this one. So,
all right, I want this card to be really good. If you aren't aware, they introduced a new type of enchantment called plans. They're all enchantments that have a triggered ability, and then they put plan counters on themselves. And when they hit some critical number, they sacrifice themselves and do some big effect. Some are better than others, and unsurprisingly, the 1-drop one is a little bit tame. Basically, every time a creature enters, you scry 1, and I just don't think this is anywhere near fast enough. And then your reward is pretty lackluster in a format where you can't really go wide efficiently. Maybe there's like a turn 2 rebirth, make 3 1/1s, put 3 counters on it, and then sack this immediately and put a 1/1 counter on all of them. But I think we're getting really goldfishy, and any card where I feel like I have to work really hard to get a situational benefit, I'm not excited to put in a constructed level deck. I'll be playing the heck out of this card in limited though, but I just don't see it getting enough juice for a squeeze.
No, that's totally how I feel. Like I want it to be good, but it's just like it just can't get there. In my mind, this is competing with Quest for the Gravelord because it kind of changes that dynamic where now you kind of want your cat to die because if it dies, it comes back. So it's like that's how you can generate those counters. It's not as like tension driven as Quest for the Gravelord because obviously it doesn't get any counters from like your opponent doing anything. But yeah, your payoff is not enough. You almost we need the like Relic's Roar enchantments. If we got those in white, where it's like an enchantment becomes a 3/3
turn your enchantment into a thing, so that this sits on the board and does a little bit more. It's funny you say that. My first thought was like maybe this goes in a deck that wants to play like Ethereal Armor and some other Enchantment Matters cards. It just doesn't really push that game plan forward, which is where my issue was. But like imagine we get an enchantment that's like enchant creature. Whenever an enchant creature is tapped at your end step, you make a 1/1, right? Like, and you have a build around for like a slower enchantment strategy that gets tokeny. This could fit really easily into that type of strategy. And the card example I just gave is totally something they could print.
Yeah. Okay, just thinking out loud. Secure the Wastes is legal in the format.
The like, make X1/1s, right?
Yeah, right?
So that card with this is a 2-card, make them all be 2/2s. My feeling, though, is if you're securing the Wastes for enough creatures for it to be swingy, I feel like you don't need a Political Triumph in play for that swing to still be good. Yeah, you get some value out of it, but you're now basically paying an extra mana and a card into making Secure the Wastes a little bit better. And maybe that is, if there were some like more versions of that, that would push it a little further.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think you're totally right. We just need those like couple extra things. The other card I just want to mention with this one is, I can't think of the name of it. Maybe you can help me out. It was the land from the new Tarkir, the white one that it mobilizes. It doesn't mobilize, but it half mobilizes.
Oh, like yeah. I know exactly what card it is, but it says the next time you attack, you mobilize 2, which is make 2 1/1 tapped and attacking creatures. They die at the beginning of the next end step. And it costs 4 to...
2 in a color, 2 in a white.
Yeah, so 2 in a white, but you have to tap it, so 4.
You have to tap it, so yeah, no, mathematically 4. I don't know, you do that, and then you get a bunch of 2/2s and draw a card.
Only on the turn it triggers, right? And then after that, those sacrifice. Like I said, a lot of squeeze to make this card work. And I think this goes in my bucket. Unironically, I've started sorting all of my cards into like cards I know I want to put in decks potentially and are live for the format. Cards that I don't think will ever necessarily see play. And then a whole bunch of cards where it's like, if this got a little bit more support, I should hold on to these and keep an eye out in case maybe a new card gets printed. This is going in that bucket where it's like, I'm not going to discount this card, but right now it's not going to go in any of my decks.
I agree with that. I think that's a good take.
It's a fun one, though. I like it.
All right, here we go.
Pim particles.
Spoiler alert.
There's like 30 of these type of effects, I feel like, but this is one of the better ones. I feel like it's directly contesting with the one that has rebound and gives +1/+0, and you're almost exchanging being able to rebound it, which is a card, for just immediately drawing a card. So the question you basically have to ask yourself is the average card in whatever deck you're putting this in better for your deck than having a second copy of this effect, essentially? Giving it vigilance is nice, but sorcery speed is a little bit of a bummer for sure. I believe the other one is also sorcery speed, the rebound one, or is it instant speed?
Oh, here's my argument though. You'd never really want to cast this as an instant. Because I had the same thought where I'm like, man, I wish this was an instant. And then I'm like, what's the situation that I'm casting this as?
I want to draw a card.
Yeah, that's the only thing, but it's just like, I don't know. At that point, I feel like you're probably kind of you're digging. You're kind of dead in the water at that moment. So, which sometimes it's good to be able to do that. To, like that next card could be your out. It could be your fog. Like it could be your thing. But in like when you're actually getting the use out of this card, casting it at sorcery speed as opposed to casting it like at the beginning of combat prior to blockers being declared, I feel like you're in the same boat there. If your opponent's got an answer, they got an answer. Like
Yeah, I think probably a better comparison, and this may sound crazy, is like Preordain or Ponder. And the reason I say that is it almost feels like this card is really good in two different types of decks for its two halves. The decks that I want to be running a card that gives vigilance and unblockable don't seem as much like the decks where I really care about moving through my deck as much as I would prefer to just give it vigilance and unblockable a second time, right? So I know the rebound one just gives, I believe, unblockable, but I think it also gives +1/+0.
yeah, plus one plus zero.
And so in the decks that want to be playing like an aggressive kind of sneak through blue game plan, I don't care as much about the card as I care about having that ability a second time. And the decks that care about the card draw on this effect probably don't care as much about being able to attack for 1 or 2 on that turn. So I feel like it's kind of sitting in the middle between two different blue strategies, and there are better cards on either end, even though there's no card that does exactly this right now.
Yeah, no, that's kind of my feeling. Like I do think this is probably the best card for the format, but it's not like
Really?
this, yeah, that this is like a staple. It's because of the vigilance. Like it's the ability because if you try to be aggro, it's always easy to get out aggroed. Like because in being aggro, you're being tapped down, and like you're always running the risk of the scale up. Like that's always my like card that I point to is that if you're there and you're open, you're always staring down a possible 6 damage if there's green on the other side of the table. Being able to stand there and block to turn that off, I think can sometimes almost be like a time walk in a weird way, where it's like you can, against an aggro deck, you can make that extra block, or the 5/5 zombie giant. Like just having that extra blocker, I think, can be enough of a tempo swing. So that's where I view this card. It's just like a really good tempo card. That's my take. My blue-green tempo deck is going to take this card for sure. But that deck also runs Distortion Strike. I'm going to switch this out for Shadow Rift, which is
gives shadow and draws a card.
A card, yeah, no,
Yeah,
exactly.
I think that is a perfect like comparison. And
Yeah.
this is an interesting thought. Is like I don't know how high I am on like a card like Shadow Rift. And maybe this is my limited mindset, really focusing on your deck should have a clear game plan of how it wins. But Catfight, because the game can feel a little bit small at times, sometimes it's actually nice to have multiple paths to like find victories through in your deck. And this card can provide that for decks that maybe have alternative game plans. So you may be speaking to a good point, big picture about the format. With this card having a home in that kind of deck speaks to how versatile decks can be in finding their ways to win.
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of what I'm touching on. An interesting thing, and I might in the future put out a video about this specifically, is an interesting way to think about Catfight is that the game starts at a standstill, and anything that can break that standstill should be held at a higher regard than anything that's not. Scale Up, once again, is the weird outlier because it just does so much damage, but the fact that it can't push through, like your opponent's going to have a cat that can block, like pretty much ad nauseum. So that's also why I like the Black Panther one, because it breaks the standstill. It gets your cat up in the air. This gets your cat guaranteed to get through. So it's like that first turn, you're able to apply pressure that other cards won't let you do, like a giant growth. You know what I mean? Like it's just like that's not going to get you anywhere. This guarantees that you're pushing through. You're breaking the standstill. It's temporary, but it's still just like you're moving towards the end zone, and your opponent needs to start responding to that.
Yeah,
So,
I can imagine in slower matchups, especially, this card can be an absolute house. Like if I know
Yeah.
I and my opponent are both on like a Shadow Sphere, Luxior, commit to the cat and protect it kind of build, Pim Particles can be a nice way to actually push through that last hit and have it still be relevant in the early game. Drawing a card when you're not as worried about like the scale up threat is not bad, and it still protects you from it even if you're facing it. You're talking me into it. I still feel like the Black Panther combat trick is the one that I like would have
You like that
call
one
out
better?
as like I feel like this card has the most potential. But this was in my top 3, top 4 of all the cards from this
Okay.
from this slate of cards.
Okay. See, this is why I'm glad I did this, because I thought this was like just a grand slam, just like this is it. But I can see your side for sure. So, all right, let's keep going.
All right. So this is functionally a reprint. I don't know if you knew that, but Seed of Hope is a exact 1-to-1 of this card with just a different name. Seed of Hope is from, oh goodness, March of the Machine. But yeah, the mill 2, put a permanent from among them, gain 2 life is already available in the format, and I don't know if it's really played. I feel like 2 life is nice, and being at instant speed to kind of trick it out is cool, but it doesn't save you from scale up Berserk. And so any 1-drop card that gains me life, that's one of my first considerations, is if I'm passing turn 1 with the intent to spend that turn gaining life and kind of bait them into comboing me and then just not actually being able to kill me. This doesn't do that, but it does replace itself pretty consistently. Normally, hitting a permanent in this format restricts you to a lot less cards than in a normal deck. Since you can't run creatures, it's just going to be artifacts and enchantments. And so if your deck's not running a lot of those and you're running a lot of combo-y things like the scale up stuff or in blue counter magic, it could be a little bit sketched to even hope to expect this will consistently give you a card back.
No, and whiffing on this would be real
devastating.
Bad. Like, because 1 green gain 2 life is pretty awful.
Yeah,
so.
You could play 1 green gain 4 life, and if a creature died, gain 8.
Yeah, and it's you have to put a card from the milled card. So I was thinking that if it was put any card from your graveyard, that'd be really good.
If it was a Noxious Revival with benefit, it would be amazing. But
yeah,
alas,
no. I think this one pretty bum.
Nope, no dice. What a funny card. This card exists in the form of Strangle. So this is functionally a reprint as well. I really don't know how to evaluate Strangle because
Strangle can have planeswalkers, can it?
Oh, I think it might be able to, which isn't relevant for our format here.
It's relevant currently,
but it's functionally a reprint of Strangle for this set, for our format of Catfight. These deal 3s are really good. But sorcery speed is also really brutal since most of the ways to make a 3/3 are at instant speed, right? Rapid hybridization, along with a whole bunch of just the make a 3/3. Urza Saga tokens weirdly tend to very often be 3/3s as well. I've noticed in playing, they end up being around that stat line when you have the opportunity to remove them before they get out of hand. So dealing 3 is nice. I just think, like you kind of said earlier, Lightning Bolt and Galvanic Discharge fill this spot a lot better.
Yeah, no, the sorcery speed holds this one back. It's
tragically.
It's totally.
All right, Shield Spy Kit. This is a card that I read a bunch of times and I thought about so many use cases. I so wish this was closer to the equipment from TMNT that did almost the same thing, but it was when you hit your opponent, but then you gained life. And that, I feel like, is much more relevant. I don't know if you know what equipment I'm talking about.
It's the Psy? I know what you're talking about. I can picture the picture.
I know exactly what it looks like and what it does. But long story short, there's a lot of kind of effects like this. And I just don't know how much I care about untapping as much as I care about doing other things. I know you brought up that Vigilance when you're the aggro deck can be really big, but you're paying 1 to play this to no effect and then another to equip it, and your reward is just +1/+1, and it essentially getting Vigilance. I feel like it's a tough sell.
Yeah, no, I agree. You're competing with Sentinel's Eyes, you're competing with Light Wheel enhancements, which just give you Vigilance, straight up. But with all those cards, going back to what I said before, none of them break the standstill. You just have a 2/2 cat that just it's going to run into a 1/1 cat. That doesn't get you anywhere in reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why this one was like, if it gave evasion, obviously that would be great. But
Or life, in my opinion, at least, giving you some permanent benefit to attacking as opposed to scrying, which scry 1 doesn't move you very far.
No, it doesn't really get you. It doesn't get you where you're going to need to get, in my opinion. So it's not quite there.
Oh man.
Okay, I want to hear your take on this one.
It's awful. It's basically unplayable.
See, this is interesting. This is super interesting. Because I agree.
Yeah, it's my rating for the worst card in the entire set for limited, which is saying something because we're looking at every creature and every spell, and this is my 0 out of 10 for the whole format.
Okay, that's wild. I wouldn't have ranked it that bad. Because I could feel unlimited. This could be something like if you have like, I can't think of all the creatures in the set, but if you have like a 0/5 turtle, they can just sit there and you can kind of expect it to not die.
You're just asking to get 2 for 1, and unlike curiosity effects that can be very strong because you can immediately buy your card back by choosing to play the curiosity effect on a turn, you're going to get at least 1 card from it and then force them to remove it. You're basically putting it on the cat or whatever token you put it on and saying, kill this right now for maximum value. Maybe you get to untap with it and gain 1 card, but I struggle to imagine there's a game state where you expect this to get a second card. And if it's not getting at least 2, you could be running any other instant speed or sorcery speed card draw and getting a card immediately without any risk of any interaction or shenanigans. I'm dud on the extreme.
Okay. See, I pretty much agree with you because it's also like if you're putting this on your cat, you're like, oh, I'm not gonna block, so hit me, please. You're just basically like putting your hands down. There are people who tend to try to play this format a little bit more control-y, and they kind of like this card because it's like if you're able to inoculate, like you're in the same color that gives you sleep magic. So if you can like sleep magic your opponent's cat, but then they're just sitting there open. So it's like, why aren't you just attacking
to kill them? Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Like I don't know. Like I don't. I like drawing cards, but this kind of feels like a CEDH player would play a card that says draw 20 cards, you lose the game.
It's just, it's such a funny card to have be called super intelligence with this art. It's almost like they knew that they were printing a functionally unplayable card and then calling it super intelligence. Be like, play it. You'll find a way to use it. I'm sure there's a way to use it. I'm so surprised that this card doesn't say at the beginning of each upkeep or have some effect. Like if I was going to like, if you told me they printed a 1 mana creature enchantment called super intelligence, I would immediately think it's something along the lines of at the beginning of each upkeep, draw a card. If it's not your turn, discard a card. So it immediately draw discards on your opponent's turn, and then on your turn you get your card back. So you there's like ways to like immediately start using it. I just can't see this card going anywhere. Oh, what a trap!
It doesn't. It definitely feels like a trap.
Just punish new limited players who don't know what they're doing. Drawing cards is good, right? No, not like that.
You always draw cards.
Okay. We have this effect in a lot of equipment. We don't have this effect in an enchantment, and a flash enchant creature is fun, and I like that a lot. I think we have similar effects, but most of them give hexproof, and I have, as playing the format more, have been less and less impressed with first strike effects as opposed to more like tangible stats. Because if you are, fighting into the cat anyway, first strike to keep it alive a turn, and the haste to me is almost irrelevant functionally. It's very rare where you're going to make a creature on your own turn and then want to give it haste this way. And you're once again just asking it 2 for 1 if that's what you're doing. So fun.
Yeah.
Exciting, probably not going in any deck I'm building.
No, I kind of feel the same way. We'd need like more Enchantment Matters things, and you're in the wrong colors for Enchantment Matters stuff here.
Very wrong colors.
Yeah, so I don't think this really gets you there. The only, like, in a weird way, the haste is actually the thing that I like the best. But as you pointed out, a lot of times you're making your tokens on your opponent's turn, so it's like they have faux haste. The only thing I could think of this with is like some goofy stuff with like the last ride, where like you play the last ride and then like throw it. But now we're in like Christmas land.
See, my thought was Dark Depths.
Yeah, no, for sure. Exactly. Yeah.
But why wouldn't you just run Skateboard, which doesn't actually target the creature and gives anything haste for that like sticky on the board relevance?
Yeah. Yeah. No. There are better things to do to like get a big creature, or like the quest for the Gravelord token, like to give a big creature haste. Like,
yep.
The unrepeatability of this makes it a whiff. I wish it would drew a card. I wish it was like a Sticky Fingers or like a
when it dies, draw a card.
Yeah. Then you draw a card? That'd be...
I think it would be more likely for it to return to your hand some way from the graveyard. My first thought, if it was going to come back from the graveyard, is when a creature you control that entered the battlefield this turn deals combat damage to a player, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. So that way you have to haste out something else to get your super speed back.
Okay. I kind of like that. That makes sense. I like that idea. Maybe we'll see that card in the future.
I feel like that's a very printable effect.
I think so too.
It'd be good in this format.
It totally would be.
Oh, man. I do not like these reliant on having a board state removal spells. And you're telling me you don't have a better way to kill the cat? Now, if you're going really wide, this could be like your Thraben Charm. And by having a wide board, you can kill a 5/5 or a 3/3. Like, that's, once again, a lot of work when you could just be running a card that kind of just does that right off the bat instead of having to have all these hoops. Just play a road. A road's great. Give them a land. Yeah. It's worth it.
No. A road is so good in the format. No, like, if you have the 5 tokens to make this worth it, like, you're probably already winning.
Probably, right? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and turn 1, this is abysmal at best.
It does answer scale up, in theory.
It does. It does. You know what I mean? But so does, like...
Everything?
Yeah, no. Like, I feel like there are way better things.
And then this one. I like that it's indestructible, but this is not a format that has scissors, i.e. a way to turn an artifact into a creature itself permanently. And as a result, I'm less excited about it. Equip 3 is huge, and giving the creature +2/+2 for equip 3. I mean, for equip 3, you could be equipping some really, really cool stuff. And this is not really, really cool. Your upside is that this is indestructible. I just don't really see it.
Yeah, no, I'm not super keen on this. Yeah, the same thing. The fact that this is indestructible, but I'm not sure what you do with that. Like, you could destroy it to get your 3 goblins, but that doesn't get you anywhere. You can like turn it into a creature and then like have Eater of Virtue, exile it. Now like it has indestructible, but now you're jumping through all kinds of hoops. Like, you relic more of this.
Eater of Virtue, what's it called? The creature has to die, so it.
Oh yeah, you need to like sacrifice this. So like,
if you want to do that, you should just be running Nutrient Block from Edge of Eternities, which is a 1 mana indestructible food that you can sack itself to draw a card, and that would actually put indestructible under. Oh, actually, it would not, because of the way Eater of Virtues is phrased. It says creatures exiled with it. And it won't be a creature when it's exiled with it, so it won't transfer its keywords. You can pull it up because this is our last card, but
this is our last one. Look at
it's been a while since I've played Kamigawa, but I played a lot of Kamigawa. If I'm right on this, I want an ice cream sundae. All right. As long as it is a card? That's so weird. As long as a card exiled with Eater of Virtue has flying. First strike, double strike, death proof. It does have indestructible. All right. That is accurate then. That is so weird.
That is weird. Like, I'm not sure what you do at this point. You have like an indestructible cat running around, which is not nothing, but
it's hard to make the cat indestructible.
It is. It definitely is. But you know, I don't know exactly what you do at that point with your 3/1.
Is there a deck that actually tries to get Eater of Virtue to work? I struggle to believe that because it can't exile creatures
No.
under it. There's no creatures.
Other than the shenanigans like this, it's just a second copy of Bone Splitter. If you're like in some type of like super aggro
But you
artifact
can play
strategy.
the flash versions in red, so you'd have to be a non-red Bone
Yeah,
Splitter
yeah.
aggro.
Yeah, I don't know what that deck is. Like it's blue white. I don't even know. I don't know. But
Silly is the answer.
it's pretty cool.
We're doing
Cool.
funny things.
Yeah, no, we've lost the plot at that point. Okay. The other thing we should look at is
Lands.
Let's do that real
Give
fast.
me lands. I think that's the part I keep missing. Is like I need to like really get up to speed on just how many different lands are legal in the format and have so many funky interactions and options. Like obviously you can look for the easy stuff like the man lands and stuff like that, but there's just so many one-off lands printed at common and uncommon across all of Magic's history where it's like, oh, there's just casually a land that when it enters gives a creature +2/+0. That's huge. In a format with 9 life, right? Like it's so funky.
It's kind of an uncounterable pump spell, like Teetering Peaks. Any deck that has green, I run Teetering Peaks, even if I don't need the red mana, because it suddenly turns crop rotation into a pump spell. And then it's like, if you have something to do with the colorless mana, it's kind of nice. But that's coming from someone who is incredibly an aggro player, so other people might do other things. But I kind of like those, like especially with crop rotation. Like there's so many good lands to just like go and get. So, all right, these we could probably blast through a little bit faster because you get a lot of lands that are just like functional reprints. Tap land that gains life. Crap. Crap. Avengers Tower. Add 1 mana, and it's only to cast a creature. Not doing that. Baxter Building. What does this one do?
Turn 4 colorless and tapping this into 5 of any color.
It doesn't seem like it's getting you very far, right? I can't imagine a deck that would even think about this one.
Yeah. And then you need Ferocious to be able to, or toughness-based Ferocious to draw a card.
Gaining
Castle
life.
Doom
Okay, here we
is
go.
a Villains Matters land that you can sacrifice an artifact to make a 3/3 villain. This is like the most playable land in the format. I think so. 4 mana make a 3/3 by sacking an artifact is legit, and playing a colorless land that can do that at sorcery speed only is probably worth it. The fact it's sorcery speed only is fair, but a little bit of a tick down from some other sources of making repeatable artifacts and such. But a 3/3 is big, as we've talked about already. A lot of X3s this jousts with well. So I think there's very, very easily decks that want to play this.
This is totally my pick for like best land from this set. Like 100%. It's untapped. It gives you colorless. You're already getting artifacts. You're probably running like some interesting artifacts. So I don't know. I like this. And as you said, the fact that it can make those tokens and then you can kind of keep repeating it. That seems really good. Like you got to be something very artifact heavy, but this is totally playable to me. Like it's just that middle one is. But that middle one's good. Like the fact that it can like cast, like gives you
Surveillance Cam is the first thought I think of when I think of like and the artifact equipments. Honestly, like the dream use case for this is the flash equipment that gives you energy to equip. Once you've gotten out of energy, it can also sometimes sit on the board and just be like, well, I can't equip this anymore. So it casts it because it gives you red for artifacts, but then you can also sack it away to get a 3/3.
Yeah, Inventor's Axe. That's exactly where my mind goes also. Some type of like blue-red probably artifact strategy where you're playing things like Luxior and Inventor's Axe and
very
crazy stuff like
run this.
Yeah, like I think this one's pretty great. All right, what else we got?
There's a new cycle of rare lands that if they enter this turn, they tap for either of their colors. They always tap for colorless, and if you control a basic land, they continue to tap for their colors. To me, this seems like a free roll land if you're monocolor splashing some other like 1 or 2 cards, kind of like the mono black decks that is it Bump in the Night that you deal 3 and then you can flash it back to have your opponent lose another 3, but the flashback is red. It's funny you bring up the red-black one because that's the first type of deck that I think of is like in mono black, how many non-swamp lands are you really running where this isn't consistently a black or red source, and then you just use the red when you want it.
Yeah, no, that's kind of my vibe. My only comment on that, though, is that like it's now competing with the Duskmourn 13 or less life land in the exact same spot. So like in the Bump in the Night deck, I would play that card in that deck.
I would play we're already like if I'm like
right, but
wanting to really get that value. It does open you up to Wasteland, whereas a basic swamp would only be strip mineable. So that is a fair consideration. That's really the only consideration I had.
Yeah, and just like you're slowly but surely going down on your basics. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, Duskmourn land, and then we're going to run Phyrexian Tower, and then we're going to run Dark. You know what I mean? From when you had 13 or 12 lands, now all of a sudden 3 or 4 are not swamps. It gets, it's like, at what point do you cross that threshold? Is kind of like the question that I have. But I had the same thought, where if you're monocolor, especially also the one that generates blue, because every deck runs Mental Misstep. So if you're in mono white and you have the white blue one, like why not just add it? Like, right?
Yeah, basically a free roll on the color. I think the closest comparison to me over the Duskmourn lands is the Verge lands. So if your deck would be happy running a Verge land, and the Verge land for your deck, like the colors just don't match up so that you are happy with what color it taps for when you don't have the basic, you would rather run this. So like each one has a color that it taps for always, and then a second color it adds if you control one of its 2. So for the black-red one, for example, it always taps for red, and then it taps for black if you have a basic. But you don't want to run that in a mono-black deck, because until you find a basic, it only ever taps for red. I would rather run this over that, because at least it enters and always taps for black the turn it comes down.
That makes sense. Do we not have all 10 Verges?
We do, but they go in a circle, right? So you have all the 2-color Verges, but each one has one color that it always taps for and then unlocks the second. So we actually need 20 in order to have the true full cycle, so it can go the other way, where it's like it enters on black and then gets red once you have a basic. And black-red might be flipped on whether or not it enters on black or red, but there's only one of each. So like the blue-green one only enters on, I want to say it's green.
I think it's green, yeah.
And then it becomes green-blue if you have a basic of anything. Or no, not a basic of anything. You have to specifically have a forest or an island.
Yeah, which if you had like Breeding Pool or whatever also works. Or
oh gosh, what is the name of the adventure?
Yapamaya?
No, the adventure lands. They don't have adventure on them, but they're from Eldraine. If you control 3 of the same basic, they do an effect.
Oh, I don't even know what we're talking about.
If you control 3 islands when it enters untapped. And if it enters untapped, it's an enter source.
Original Mystic Sanctuary.
Mystic Sanctuary is an island. So
that's true, yeah.
That does trigger a Verge to tap, because it doesn't say basic, it just says island.
Yeah. No, that's relevant. That's relevant. Yeah, I think it's close, but
I think that's the exact kind of like category you can put these lands in for this full cycle. Is it's worth a consideration based off the type of deck you're running. So it's going to show up in the format. Also, very likely to be more accessible. So
that was going to be my
players what might have a full play set of, one of each of these, and they might not have the Verges from a year and a half ago.
Yeah, no. It also the price. Like, let's see where these wind up. Like, how much of this set gets open and how low these get. But that's always like when you're making that call, it's like, you need it to be like $2 or $3, and like the Verges are now like 10. So it's like, you got $5 and you need to get one land. By getting this one instead of the Verge, but it's competition is fierce.
I think they're a nice addition, though. I think they're a creative design space. I like them.
I like them too. Ogwell's Gym.
So question: this land does deal damage to you because you're the one having it do damage to you.
Yes, it's only non-combat damage dealt to you by your opponent is prevented. So
no. I don't think you're willing to take a land that always hurts you. At
Yeah,
least with
they're
like
pretty-
pain lands, you could choose to tap them for colorless and not hurt
Yeah.
yourself. This isn't always not worth.
No, this would be competing with
The one
what's
that
the red
if you
one?
have threshold, you sacrifice it to deal 2 to anything.
Oh yeah, Barbarian Ring. Yeah,
Mhm.
I was actually thinking of the desert one.
Sack of Desert do
2 or 3 damage to something.
3 to anything.
I think so.
It's like
I
4
can't
mana
remember.
Sack of Desert. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It was big and standard. It got banned.
Big card that I was not in the era for, so I don't know it off the dome.
Yeah, no, I wasn't playing standard at that moment in time, so no.
Maladuk?
Ramanop Ruins. Ramanop,
yeah,
right?
Ruins. Yep.
Did it do Great Mound? What the heck is Great Mound? I don't even remember seeing
It's
this
a
card.
weird one. It makes Power Stone tokens, aka the indestructible version of Power Stone tokens, which are Vibranium tokens. They're colorless artifacts that tap for a colorless, but you can only use the mana to cast
artifact spells or use it for abilities.
Oh, can you use it for abilities?
Cast non-artifact spells. But the second ability of just straight up drawing a card in a long game could be worth it. I don't know if it's good in that aspect. I don't know if that's what you should be doing with your mana if you have that much, but it gives you an out. And I like cards that give you an out for low downside.
Yeah, no, like I have not built a like pure colorless deck because like you inevitably wind up getting pulled into something. But if you're very heavy into that, it could have a place. Like it would be interesting. There's just like we have just no Eldrazi payoff. There's no reason to like just ramp into colorless into like doing something. Like we're making indestructible tokens. Like there's something to be said about that. I don't know. So
yeah. And then there's the soul land for land abilities from Ixalan, where when it enters, you choose a color, I believe, and it taps for up to 2 mana, but only to activate the abilities of land.
Yes.
You know, you could have kind of like a landsy deck for it. I just don't know if this is what you want to be using that mana on, but it's such a low downside. It's going to be card people consider.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, what's your pick? Top card for the format. What'd you go with?
I'm sticking with top card not counting the lands. I think the Black Panther combat trick is very real, and I'm very interested to see what decks can make use of it. I think it's going to see play at the very least. I just am not sure exactly how people want to build around it. And then the land that makes dudes just seems like a pretty free roll for the format overall. But those would be my like land pick, non-land pick. But I have been convinced on the Vigilance and Unblockable card. I'm gonna have to test it out a little bit. But I think it's definitely up there right with the Black Panther combat trick. But I'm gonna stick to my gut that any type of Thraven Inspector-esque card overperforms expectations consistently.
No, it's true. Rectangles are good. Like that's a good point. I would just be the flip of that. I'd put Pin Particles as my top pick, and then probably the Black Panther combat trick is my second one, and then the land. Like that land's it's just
like the actual best card for this set for the format.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think I agree with that. You just gotta look out for Meltdown. Every red deck, if you're not running Meltdown in your sideboard, you're unless you're super into artifacts, you should be running Meltdown because boy, you can just like absolutely body someone with a 2 mana Meltdown. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So okay, awesome. Well, thanks for doing this with me. This was fun. It was good to get some like other opinion and some back and forth. Yeah.
I'm honored to be included. It's been really cool getting more and more into the format and, spreading across my game store. And we're all looking forward to the first paper tournament of it that's happening in Phoenix. So very excited.
That'll be awesome. Link to that is going to be in the description. So you can go if you want to. It's getting some hype, so if you're interested, you might want to pre-register for this one. I wouldn't roll the dice and just show up day of. Like, if you truly want to be there, you should pre-register. If you need some ideas for decks, there's a link to the Discord. There's a Decklist channel on there. You can check out people's deck lists. I post videos similar to this, about cards that I like, cards that I think are good, and just kind of like tips and tricks for the format, especially for like people getting into it. So, check out other videos on my channel. Vintage Cube Chef has a great video on how to like learn the format, so you can check out his video, and that would be phenomenal. It's a great place to like jump in if you're interested. But if you made it this far, I assume you probably are playing the format. And if you disagree with us, also put that in the comments, because we love a good fight in the comments. So look forward to seeing what everyone else thinks.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.